No leper has been cleansed since Naaman was told to go dip himself in Jordan 7 times to become clean. Here's who he is. May I say to you today, nothing's changed. He still wants people to know who he is. He wants everybody to recognize his power, not only his power, but ultimately his person, who he is, what he can do in your life if you'll yield yourself to him. You under the sound of my voice tonight, if you're not saved, today's the day of salvation. Now's the accepted time. If you're here tonight and saved, then it's our job, it's our obligation, it's our calling, it's our commission to go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. Right. Jesus heals this man, and I see several things that I want to put on display tonight if I could with the help of the Lord. First of all, I want you to look at the suffering of this man. He is a leper. It's Hansen's disease, if you would. In biblical times, there was no cure for it. Man, just the thought of it, just the mention of it, folks got nervous. I believe they broke out in a sweat. May I say to you, friend, though there's a cure today for this type of disease, there was no cure in biblical times. Here is a man that literally had no hope in his life. When he found out, no doubt, that he had leprosy, man, everybody flocked from him, everybody fled from him, everybody ran in every direction but toward him. You know what I like about this? When everybody else was running away from him, Jesus came to where he was. Amen. May I say to you, friend, that's the same thing he did when you and I got saved. Hey, listen, every single one of us, before we got saved, friend, we were just lepers. I mean sinners, lost and on our way to hell. And while everybody else was ditching, ducking, and diving, trying to get away from us, aren't you glad Jesus loved us enough to send somebody our way with the life-changing gospel that we might be saved? Amen. I'm telling you tonight, I'm glad I'm a sinner saved by grace. I'm glad when everybody else was running, ducking, and diving, somebody came to where I was and loved me for who I was and in spite of what I was. Here we go in the Bible, friend. You find something very interesting. If you study out leprosy, it's a picture and type of sin. And all the miracles in the Bible point to those that have been saved by God's amazing grace. I think of blind Bartimaeus. Hey, all of us were blind before we got saved. Say amen right there. The Bible said, "Him the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them that believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ should shine unto them." I think of Lazarus. God rose him from the dead. Can I help you with that for a second? All of us were dead in trespasses and sin. The Bible said, "You have he quickened who were dead in trespasses and sin." So listen, we were blind, friend, just like blind Bartimaeus. We were dead just like Lazarus. And may I say to you, friend, listen, we were lepers just like this leper here. Every single one of us. You ought to put both hands in the air and shout tonight, because you're no longer on your way to hell. You're on your way to heaven. Hey, listen, sin's not dragging you down the wrong way, but listen, you're heading the right way. Hey, friend, we're on the straight and the narrow path, and while everybody else, friend, is going the other way, man, thank God you're still standing. Think about leprosy. Like sin, it starts small. Study out leprosy, it'll start out with a little raised red spot on your hand, or maybe on your arm someplace, and man, it'll start to spread. It'll start to swell up and become pussy and nasty. Hey, before you know it, friend, like sin, it'll captivate the body. Hey, that's just what sin will do. That's what leprosy did. Hey, friend, I talked to somebody the other day. We was at the Tailway. I don't know if you know where that's at, but it's at Michigan and Martin. We was at the Tailway the other day drinking some of that coffee that they brew all night long. They say, "Why is the coffee at Tailway?" I'm getting paid for this commercial, so just listen while I go ahead and plug Tailway. I said, "Why is this so good? Why is this coffee so good?" And the fellow told me, he said, "Because we never shut the pot off." And I said, "What, you never clean it?" He said, "No, man, we don't clean it. We don't mess with it. We don't touch it. We just keep percolating it." I said, "Works for me." So I got me a coffee and I went outside. Man, me and my wife was there. Some other folks from the church was there. And man, this young lady walked by, and a little red-headed girl, I mean, looked like she's from the hills of West Virginia. And she walked by, but we knew she wasn't from West Virginia. As a matter of fact, we knew she wasn't from our neighborhood. She looked scared to death and out of her mind. And though I didn't approach her, my wife approached her. And because of what she was doing out there, I didn't approach her. My wife approached her. Say amen right there. Amen. And she got to talking to her, and she said, "Honey," she said, "you don't look like you're from around here." And I was just in earshot of it. And she said, "No, I'm not." And long story short, she said, "How'd you get out here, honey? You need to go home. Your mom was probably looking for you, worried to death, probably even praying for you." And this is what she said. She said, "Sure, my mom was praying for me. I heard that she's trying to find me, but man, I'm so messed up and I'm so far gone." My wife, although she had an idea, didn't really know what the particulars were. And this is what she said. She said, "It started out small." Are you listening to me, young people? She said it started out small. She said it started out with just hitting one joint and popping one pill. She said, now I'm strung out on heroin. She said, I can't seem to get off these streets. Every time I try to stop, she said, this flesh rises up and it wakes me up at night and it calls me. And I mean, just like that, I'll be back on these streets again. I watched my wife as she took her New Testament out and pulled out the gospel tract and, man, took her through the Romans road, the Ephesians, bypassing the Philippian trail. Say it, man, right there. Amen. And she said, ma'am, she said, I know what you're trying to do. She said, my mama prays for me all the time. She said, but you don't understand, I'm captivated. She said, I didn't want to be here. I didn't plan on being here. She said, but it all started out with just one little try, one little taste. And man, she went on her way. Matter of fact, today I was driving down the avenue and I've seen her again. I bowed my head right where I was and I said, God, I said, help us to get her off of these streets. What am I saying? Man, just like leprosy, sin will start out small, and before you know it, it'll captivate you, it'll control you, and ultimately, friend, it'll kill you.
That's good.
That was the path of the devil. The plan of the devil for this leper here, and it's the plan of the devil for every young person, everyone under the sound of my voice, is to take you out before you ever got a shot, before you ever get opportunity, before you ever get a chance. To take you out. It'll start out small. It's deeper than the skin. It spreads faster than you'll believe. Hey, think about this. Leprosy isolates. You study out leprosy, and man, under the Levitical law, you had to stay 50 feet away from any crowd or any person, any gathering. And man, if the wind was blowing, it was 200 feet away. And if you got near folks like that, you had to yell out, unclean! Unclean! Oh, listen to me, friend. There's folks that are looking for help. There's folks that need hope. There's folks that need to know there's a way out. And may I say to you, friend, listen, though they're not yelling unclean and undone and cast down and rejected and downtrodden and nobody cares, man, that's the story of their life. And the only shot they got is what we got.
Praise the Lord. Amen. That's right.
Let me give you some things to think about. I think it'll be help to you notice the suffering of this man. We see his ailment. Notice his approach. Hey, no doubt he heard about those that were getting saved. No doubt he heard about the blind seeing and the lame walking and the dead being raised. And no doubt he said, man, if anybody can help me, it's this Jesus.
Amen.
I got to thinking about that. I thought to myself, how did he hear about Jesus? Man, he couldn't go any closer than 50 feet to a crowd. If the wind was blowing 200 feet, so I mean, there's no way he could have seen anything. I mean, how did he hear about it? No doubt somebody was bragging on him. Somebody was telling the story. No doubt, friend, he seen that blind man running down the street without his cat. Say amen right there. No doubt, friend, he seen that fella that everybody know. Man, they buried him. There was a funeral. Man, now he's walking down the avenue. Hey, he said, you know what? If Jesus can raise the dead and give sight to the blind, and man, the leper can be cleansed. Here's what you need to understand. Man, folks know where you were before you got saved. They know what you was involved in before you got saved. Don't act like you've been in church your whole life. Don't act like you always knew who God was.
Come on.
Say, it kills me. It kills me.
That's right.
Christians act like, man, I ain't never done nothing wrong. Man, I never took a drink. I never smoked. Hey, I got news for you, friend. Everybody knows, but you act like you never did anything wrong, and that's why this crowd out there can't find hope and help for their life.
Amen.
Exactly.
Say amen right there.
Amen. You're running well.
I was in a church preaching not long ago, and a fella come in the back door. Man, he was all tatted up. Man, I mean, he had sleeves, and they weren't on his shirt.
Tell it.
Say amen right there.
Tell it.
And man, I noticed when he walked in, everybody was cutting their eyes at him. And so I waited and I watched, and I just sat there. Had earrings in both ears. Are you listening to me?
Right.
Nobody shook his hand. Nobody said, hey, man, welcome to such and such Baptist church. So instead of sitting up front or sitting in the middle someplace, he sat on the back row closest to the door.
Tell it.
Here come this fella walking up. Instead of shaking his hand, he kind of gave him that look like, and walked on. I'm just being honest. I'm going to take off all the plastic. I want to beat the devil out of him for doing that.
Good. Good.
After the service, first thing I did is I went up to that fellow on the back row. And I said, how you doing? He said, who, me? Yes, sir. I said, how you doing, man? I'm glad you're here. He said, you're the only one.
Yeah.
He said, you're the only one glad I'm here. He said, man, if you'd have seen the... I said, I've seen the looks. I said, but you don't understand. This This church is a bunch of retards.
Preach.
You didn't see it outside? I mean, it says Retard Baptist Church outside. I said, me and you the only normal people in this place.
Good.
And he laughed because he knew I was kidding. And I said, listen, man, I said, I've been where you're at. I said, though I ain't got sleeves going up to my armpit, I said, buddy, I got 2 holes right here. I said, I know where you've been. Buddy, he looked at me, tears welled up in his eyes. He said, preacher, you? I said, buddy, if you'd seen me before I got saved, if you'd have seen the leper that I was before I got saved, he said, why are you telling me all this? I said, because I want you to know, friend, though everybody else look down at you, so I'm looking up, not to where you are, but where you can be.
Amen.
Praise the
I'm
Lord.
telling